In today's education news, let's take a look at the suspensions and permanent exclusions in England report recently published by the DfE. It shows there's been a dramatic rise in the amount of suspensions, nearly 787,000 compared to 578,000 in 21-22. And permanent exclusions are up to 9,376,000 compared to 6,495 in 21-22. I'm a primary school teacher. I've only ever worked in primary. I have never worked a day in secondary. But from my perspective, I look at this and I would like to think, and I hope I speak on the behalf of majority teachers here, that suspensions and permanent exclusions are always seen as an absolute last resort. It's not an easy way to deal with situations like behaviour. It's just always when there is no other option left. I think that's the case for the vast majority of schools. I'm not saying it's for every school, but the vast majority. Persistent disruptive behaviour is still the main reason for suspensions and exclusions. Second most common reason was verbal abuse or threatening behaviour towards an adult. And ultimately, schools have to be a safe place for staff and students. The reason I was drawn to this story was after listening to a phone-in on a radio station where basically schools were just being blamed for this issue, and it was a school's problem and schools have to sort it out. And I just think it's not just as easy as that. This is where I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this crisis. And it is a crisis, but I don't know. I looked on Twitter and you've got people blaming it as a suspension and exclusion crisis. Other people are saying it's a behaviour crisis. But I think that's too surface level again. I think anyone who's worked in a school over the past couple of years will admit that there has been a decline in behaviour. But I think we've got to dig deeper on that. What is causing that? It would be too surface level to just say, oh, there's a behaviour crisis. Yeah, but you've got to look into the reasons what's causing that to then obviously address it and hopefully improve it. In this article, it talks about how behavioural issues are often a result of poor mental health or unmet special educational needs. And when you dig deeper into the statistics of those being suspended or excluded, the suspension rate for children on free school meals is almost 4 times that of those who aren't eligible. And when we look into SEND, the rate of suspensions with children with EHCP plans is actually lower than children with SEND without an EHCP plan. I think this is, again, just a massive cry out for how we need huge reforms when it comes to SEND. And one of the biggest reasons for this, I think, is the funding crisis in schools. Schools don't have enough money to put the provisions in place to support certain students. There's not enough adults in some schools. There's not enough budget to pay for support staff. The lack of support from outside agencies because they're not getting any funding to then help diagnose and again support students. And outside of school, reasons for that decline in behaviour, children's access to smartphones, social media is a big contributing factor. I talk all the time about how so many safeguarding issues within schools stem from that. I also think in some cases when it's not a SEND need, that parents need to be more accountable and responsible. I think can't always be blamed on schools. We've all got to be helping and supporting our children with behaviour. And just to echo these thoughts here, we desperately need the new government to work alongside the education profession to put support systems in place that ensure young people get the help they need to stop these problems from escalating. But as always, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What do you think are the contributing factors to why we've seen such an increase in suspensions and exclusions? What do you think needs to happen to change that, to bring those numbers down? And any other thoughts?